also known as Edward and Wilhelmina Maurin, were an elderly married couple who were robbed, kidnapped, and murdered more than 37 years ago in Chehalis, Washington, by the Riffe brothers, Rick and John. On December the 19th, 1985, the Maurins were supposed to host a Christmas party. But when family and friends arrived, Ed, 81, and Minnie, 83, were not there to greet them. Concerned family and friends contacted the Lewis County Sheriff's Department and reported Ed and Minnie Maurin missing. Police officers discovered their vehicle the next day in the Yardbirds Mall parking lot. The vehicle contained a large number of bloodstains. The keys were in the ignition. Ed and Minnie were nowhere to be found. It was later discovered that a week before Ed and Minnie vanished, they withdrew $8,500 from their bank account and told bank officials they were going to buy a new car. Relatives told the Spokane Chronicle in 1985 that Ed had no plans to replace his 16-year-old car because it was still running well. Ed and Minnie were discovered dead on December the 24th, 1985. A man driving down Stearns Hill Road near Adna found their bodies near the end of the road in a wooded area. According to an autopsy performed by Lewis County Coroner Terry Wilson, Ed and Minnie died as a result of a shotgun wound to the back. The Riffe brothers were suspected of murdering the couple. Due to a lack of evidence and witnesses, police officers were unable to make an arrest. Lewis County Sheriff Steve Mansfield said their investigation was completed 26 years after the Maurin murders, when additional evidence and witnesses came forth to collaborate and provide more information. The Riffe brothers were finally apprehended for the murders of Ed and Minnie Maurin after authorities gathered enough evidence. On July the 8th, 2012, Lewis County Sheriff's Office officers purchased a plane ticket to King Salmon, Alaska, where the Riffe brothers moved in 1987. When they arrived, they discovered that John Riffe had died of natural causes just a week before. Rick Riffe, 53, was apprehended and returned to Lewis County to face charges. Rick spent 15 years in Alaska working as a truck driver and a crane operator. When Rick's co-worker learned of the murder charge, he was taken aback because he thought of Rick as a regular, hardworking guy. A police investigation revealed that the Riffe brothers broke into the Maurins' home about a week before Christmas in 1985 and held the couple hostage before forcing them to drive to their local bank and withdraw money. Rick and John Riffe shot the couple inside their car before dragging their bodies to a wooded area. The brothers had been free for nearly 3 decades before more witnesses came forward. They were initially hesitant. They were afraid that if they spoke out, Rick and John, who were allegedly well-known drug dealers in the area, would retaliate. During the trial, a woman named Deborah George testified that she and Rick began an intimate online relationship in 2010 after he sent her a Facebook friend request. That Facebook account was shared with her husband, Leslie George, who, according to his testimony, knew the Riffe brothers in the 1980s and did drugs with them. Leslie stated that in 1984, he let Rick and John borrow a shotgun. When the brothers returned it to him in 1986, the barrel was sawed off. Deborah testified before the jury that she was curious about Riffe because of the rumors she heard about him being involved in the Maurin homicides. During their year-long romance, he allegedly told Deborah details about the murders. She was terrified of telling the police what she knew. A computer forensics expert examined Rick and Deborah's computers and confirmed that the two were in regular contact and had an intimate relationship. The 76th witness was Donald Burgess, a former drug dealer who had a drug-related relationship with Rick. Throughout the years, police questioned him, but he claimed he knew nothing about the murders. Burgess stated that he was afraid to testify because Rick had threatened his life. "I was scared," he admitted. "I was worried about my family and my children. I did not want to end up like the Maurins." Burgess claimed Rick and John went to his house after the murders, bragging about how they were going to get away with it. In court, Minnie Maurin's surviving children read the following statement: "This will never be forgotten for generations to come. How could anyone be so cruel and act with malice to shoot two elderly and trusting people in the back and dump them in the forest?" Before Minnie was buried, her son, Dennis Hadler, placed his hand on her casket and promised her that he would get justice for her murder. Rick Riffe was found guilty of 7 felony counts, including murder, kidnapping, robbery, and home invasion, by a jury on November the 11th, 2013. That took a big load off my shoulders because I made that promise, and I was getting worried as I got older that maybe I was going to fail, Hadler said. But I had strong support from the prosecutor's office and the sheriff's office, and we were able to get a conviction. Rick Riffe was sentenced to 103 years in prison for the murders of Ed and Minnie Maurin in Lewis County Superior Court the following month. Rick insists on his innocence. He told his lawyer that he feels no remorse or need to apologize for something he did not do. This was Minnie's second marriage. Minnie was widowed when she married Edward Maurin. Dennis Hadler was from her first marriage. Sadly, Dennis passed away in 2021. He was 94. He gave his family closure, knowing the person responsible for his mother and beloved stepfather's death had been brought to justice. Tell me what you think in the comments. I wish you all a Merry Christmas, and I thank you so much for being here.